Hey everybody, Greg Poole here with Junkie Media, bojunkie.com. It's time for another podcast. We are in the post Reading situation here, and so hope everybody's doing good. Of course, as far as Reading goes, we had great weather for 3 days. The last day was a little bit windy, but champions rise to the occasion, and the rest of us mere mortals fold like a cheap lawn chair. But with that being said, as for those of you watching, you can see who today's guest is. For those of you listening, she is the 10 time. She about to have as many rings as Bill Russell. She keeps this up, but she's going to run out of fingers, I should say. But it is the 10-time Reading champion. She's pretty much Miss Reading at this point. She's actually a little bit of Miss Everything at this point, but all right, everybody, help me welcome a familiar face, familiar voice, familiar guest to the program. It's Paige Pearce. How's Paige doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, what have you been doing the last several days to get back into the groove since Reading?
I haven't even touched a bow since Reading. I took a break, and Tate's parents stayed Monday and then flew out Tuesday night. So they basically just left last night, ran some errands today. Tate's shooting his hunting bow right now. So it's kind of going to be a break from Target stuff, and we are getting ready to head to Alaska in like a week. So just checking all the hunting stuff, making sure it's good.
What is going on in Alaska?
We're doing a black bear hunt and fishing thing. So we're flying into Anchorage and then we drive to Homer and then we take a boat out of Homer and you like go out around and it's not guided. There's no bait or tree stands or anything like that. It's all just spot and stock and you hunt them coastal. So we like live on the big boat, then we take a dinghy in, hunt them on the beaches, I guess. I don't know. None of us have ever done it. It's me, Tate, his dad, their friend Seely, who I think you know,
Yes.
and then supposed to be. He's kind of on the fence. And then two other guys from Montana that they're friends with. So I kind of just got thrown into the bro trip. And yeah.
Well, you tend to flourish in the bro environment. So, first of all, congratulations on 10. And so look, at this point, it's not even really in my opinion, it's really not even worth asking which one meant the most to you because now it's gotten to the point where you're winning so many of those titles that winning is the norm and not winning is the
Sucks.
anomaly. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucks.
That's what I'm saying. And so let me ask you this. And look, everybody likes to win. You like to win more than most, which is what champions do. But how are you at this stage stacking up? And look, you have a pile of silver bowls. Jesse has a pile of silver bowls, pile of buckles, yada yada yada. But how do you reconcile winning Reading for the 10th time versus all of the other times we've talked about it?
I mean, obviously, this one's different just because of the stuff that happened this weekend. So I think that makes this one cool. But excluding all of that, just from like the number standpoint, um, there's a lot of people who come into the archery scene and they're dominant in a couple year cycles. And so, I've seen new people come in, do very well, and then leave, or new people come in, beat them, and then they leave. And so I've been in this long enough now that I feel like I've seen quite a few of those cycles of those people coming in and then new people replacing them. And I've kind of just been there the whole time.
Right.
And so it's weird that it's 10 just because to think about obviously how many years, because I think the first time I won that I was 15. I think you looked that up for me. I'm 30 now. So it's like 15 years of Reading, that's 10 wins, other seconds and thirds and other stuff, mixed in there. I had a year I shot two zeros because I missed at my sight. So that was a non-podium year. But like on the same deer that I fell on this weekend. So me and that target just aren't friends literally. But yeah, so it's just weird to think about just because, there haven't like all those people that were the staples when I started have kind of left now, like Jesse, like Rio, like those are the people that were around when I came in, and it was like they're never going to leave. And now you're not really seeing them as much. So it's kind of weird because it's like I'm not that old. I realize that, but I'm kind of like the old one when it comes to like the number of years doing this
Right. Well,
on the circuit.
right, right. And I mean, look, so, oh, I need to respond to Gaius, by the way. So he sent me a text and it was Reading Goats Go. And so, obviously when you were coming up, the woman who was not shooting your scores, but still shooting around, she was crushing was Jamie Van Etten.
Jamie. Yes.
Jamie
Yes.
was out there. And when Jamie showed up in Reading, it was like, yeah, she's going to have to do something wrong to not win. And
Yeah.
of course, as you know, that happened. But how, like, when you think about it, and I know you have a very good sense of self when it comes to not only your shooting, but kind of your role in the community.
Yeah.
And so, now that you have 10 of these titles is there a more coveted outdoor tournament than Reading in our sport? Yeah, I
I
didn't.
mean,
So
yeah, I don't think so.
no, I don't, literally, there's not. I mean, it is, is it, people come from all over the world and look, folks, we all know Vegas is our Super Bowl. That's cool. Got it. But when it comes to outdoor tournaments, and before a lot of these other tournaments, Reading was the second highest paying tournament
Mhm.
because of all the pro pots and the teams and the individuals and all that stuff. But at this stage of your career, when you think about what you, and we're going to keep this specifically to the female side. You mean a lot to the male side too because you're a great archer and ambassador. But for the context of this conversation, and I know you take this seriously, so this is why I want you to be able to speak about it a little bit. But when you think about what Paige Pierce means to the female side of the sport, what Paige Pierce has grown to mean to young female archers, current female archers, um, how does that measure up for you versus the wins?
Honestly, I feel like that's more important. And you know me, I'm competitive. So for me to say that, that means a lot. The wins mean a lot to me too, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that anybody hits that like memorable status in archery just by winning. I don't. And it's different in today's world because the depth is so much more than when I first started the
Oh,
sport.
wild.
Yes. So to be dominant back then, I'm not saying it was easy because it wasn't. They still had to be better than everybody, but the everybody part was a lot less and the scores had to be a lot higher. So for anybody, whether it's men or women or anybody to come in and dominate anything at this point in time with as many good archers as there are out there, that part's hard. And so I think, the other side of that is being what I would call like a true professional. Because there's people who call themselves like pro archers and they win tournaments and they're great at that and they win. But I feel like a lot of them miss the other side of being a professional, which is being in the booths, like talking to people, meeting people, answering questions, taking photos, signing things, like even answering questions on social media. Like when I started, there was no social media. That was
Right.
not a thing, not a job requirement, not something you needed to do. And like nowadays, you'll hear like amateurs talk smack because they emailed or, message, private message like pros and didn't get an answer. And which I don't think they should expect that either. That annoys me. But still,
Right.
like doing more than just winning is, I think, something that has a big impact and something that I've always taken a lot of time to do. And I don't think that I would be where I am if I was standoffish, if I didn't answer people's questions, if I didn't stay in the booths till they shut down, if I didn't answer people's messages, like I would still be a good archer, but I don't think I would have the people's respect, if that makes sense. And I do think that that carries a different level of importance wh- when you add that to just winning.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you would have a lot of respect for winning 10 Readings and all the other shit you've won, but what you're talking about is the multiple layers of respect
Mhm.
that go above and beyond just shooting. Because look, Paige, I'm not going to say any names, of course, but we have many, many legendary pros who had everybody's respect as a shooter and very few people's respect as a person.
Yes.
And some of them are still around. Some of them are emptying porta
No.
potties at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just part and it, what happened? Anyway, as
Oh
Paige,
my God.
Paige blew the Paige almost blew the cover right there. But anyway, sure, Paige, for those of you not watching, Paige's eyes just got the size of silver dollars when that joke hit her. But anyway, um, you know, I've been fortunate enough to, see you come up through the ranks, and I can remember, when, you were battling your way to the point you are now. And so, like you said, having the respect as a shooter is one thing, but the amount of admiration, the amount of admiration that I see from up and coming female archers, young
Mhm.
archers, amateur female archers, the amount of admiration I see from them towards you is not just because you're a great shooter, because I've been around doing it for a hot minute, and I pay attention to that kind of stuff. And people respond to you differently. Even men
Yeah.
respond to you differently. And it is because you're so outgoing. It is because you're so welcoming. And like literally, I'm surprised you haven't missed a shooting time because you've been talking to people.
I've
Like,
been close.
that's what I'm saying. And
Tate's usually
so,
yelling at me.
right. And
Yeah.
so, kind of what I want to talk about right now is the fact of, and we'll talk about you going to extreme measures to not have to go to the booths on Saturday. But anyway, we will that's a
Friday.
joke. That's a
Friday.
joke, people. She didn't do it on purpose. But um when like for a lot of people, they think, okay, I'm going to get up this morning, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go practice, and then I shoot at 8 o'clock, talking about reading. I shoot at 8 o'clock. I need to eat at this and that. So, how do you, in your head, keep the absolute stage 5 tornado of stuff that happens in your life on a daily basis? How do you keep all of that in perspective during a tournament? Because it's not like your home life is just, not bad, folks. It's just chaotic. Your home
And it can be bad too and
life,
chaotic. I'll give you
right?
that.
And then you come to an archery tournament, you shoot like nothing's happening, like you've been preparing for a month for this, and you're bored with preparation and practice, and you're glad to be at a tournament. It's like literally you thrive and you shoot extremely well in some of the most adverse conditions a person could be going through mentally and physically. And so when you think about all of that put together, what is it about you that allows you to either process or put aside some of that stuff and continue to perform at a high level?
Let me add one thing to what you said before, and then I'll answer that. Um, when my thought, you were talking about the kids and the women, I never wanted to be the reason that they didn't want to be on the range with us. And I feel like there's a lot of pros out there who aren't that. Like they are the reason that new people don't want to come in or that new people don't want to shoot with them. And so I've always looked at it like I want the girls to say I had a good day with her or like they were very welcoming, not, oh, I don't want to shoot with her. She was mean or, wouldn't help me or whatever. So coming into some of that myself as a younger person, I was like, I want to be better than that. So that's kind of just how I've taken it, like from new people coming into the divisions, as an example, because it's one thing to be nice to the kids that are shooting the kid class. It's a different thing to be nice to the kids that come in and whoop your ass in the pro class, right? Like the Licos or
Correct.
whatever. And I don't care what level they're at because that's where I saw that change when I went from kid to like actually being competitive there. Like I just want to make sure that I'm never the reason that they don't want to be there. So that's my like takeaway or like how I go into each of those. Now to answer your last question, I was literally just talking with Tate about this and it's like whenever a tournament starts and I don't know why, I didn't like train this way, I didn't whatever, but I swear I have like an overdrive like hyper focused mode. And so there's been times at Vegas two different times I can think of where I was so sick. Like, I don't know how I was even out of bed type sick, but shot Vegas, stayed in the booths until they shut down, like, still did all of my requirements. And one of them was a few years ago, it was still at South Point, and it was the year that me, Tanny, and Lico all shot 900s. So we like finished the shoot off. And as soon as the shoot off was done and like the tournament focus was like over, I was like I was dead. And I was like I can't even go eat, like I can't move. But I didn't let myself feel that bad throughout the weekend. I was like I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine because I'm just so focused on like what needs to be done. And then this year I was the same way. As soon as Vegas ended, I felt like I was dying and I actually missed my flight the next day. I've never done that other than that one time in my entire, however many years of flying. And I was so sick, I like woke up and then I slept through my alarms, like missed my plane and had to rebook my flight. But if you asked me during Vegas, I was like, yeah, I'm sick, but like you never would have really known, you know what I mean? If you didn't like see my stories or see me before. So same thing applying that to this weekend. It's like, I don't know. I just want to win so freaking bad. Like I don't think people realize how much I actually hate losing. Like it's not fun.
Right.
So when the tournament's happening, and again, I don't realize I'm doing it. I think the people traveling with me do because I think I annoy the shit out of them. But I don't realize I'm doing it and I'm just like full on like everything into that weekend and then I just turn it off. Like as soon as the weekend's done, it's like boom, back to normal. So I
Uh,
don't know how or why, but I definitely have like two different modes.
Absolutely. Well, and you shoot so many different styles of archery. Like I make the joke about you being tired of preparing and tired of practicing for an event when the reality is you shoot virtually
The only thing I don't shoot's IBO.
right. I was just going to say unmarked is the only thing you don't shoot. You shoot every single other thing. And so here's my question for that. And I'm going to use Timmy Gillingham as an example. Tim talks about having to have 5 bows ready to go. Marked, unmarked, indoors, field, FIDA, reading. Like he has bows for all kinds of crap ready
Yeah.
on a regular basis. Okay, let's see here. Indoors, indoor 27s, indoor 23s, but I'll assume you just have a switchable rest, so that shouldn't be
Yes.
tough. But indoors,
Some years I'll have two different bows. Like this year I ran the same bow with just a different rest. Depends
right.
on the year.
So indoors, FIDA, reading, field,
Feed field is a whole different
and
complete
FIDA
setup.
fields. So that
ASA.
yeah, so
You forgot
that's
ASA.
yeah,
That's a huge one.
that's 6 different styles of shooting. How many actual bows, not rests, because
Mhm.
how many actual bows will you navigate or use to accomplish what you do in those 6 styles of shooting this year?
I try to actually keep that to a minimum because I've found that the more bows you have, the harder it is to keep everything together.
Right.
So, like in the past, I would say three or four. This year, I would say two to three. So, I like right now, I have two that are set up. Like ASA is usually its own bow because it is completely different, like completely different arrow size, different sight, different peep, different clarifier, different everything, different peep sight height. So, it's harder to use that bow for anything else. Um, then I have the bow that I just shot at Reading, and that one I will try to use for multiple different styles, rotate rests, rotate sights if I need to, like for feet of field, um, and do different stuff within that same setup. And then I always have a backup bow set up that's in there that's usually with skinnies because like I can't shoot 23s the majority of the events, but I could definitely shoot skinnies at an ASA if the ASA broke,
Right.
bow broke. So I usually have that bow that goes with me also that's like set up. Is it the best thing ever? No, but like it's good enough I could get the job done if something major happened at an event and I needed it.
Right.
So like right now I'm rolling with three, but I've definitely found like for indoor I can run two and that's fine. For outdoor I can run two and that's fine. But it's hard. Like sometimes what I will do, and I did a lot of this last year because I did a ton of product testing that I can't post about, you know what I mean? But I
Yes.
know I'm doing, I can say I'm doing some stuff, but like,
Right.
especially now that it's over, no one's paying attention. So I shot a ton of different things. And I would have like one that was set up as my primary that was really good. And then I would just leave it aside. And when I got home, I would use what wasn't quite good enough yet to try to get it better than the primary. And if I got it there, it became the new primary, and then another one became the rotate end to try to get better.
Right.
So I did a ton of that last year just because of product testing stuff. And honestly, it burned me out so bad that this year I was like, less is more. Let's keep the bows to a minimum because I also switched to East End. And so instead of testing bows, I now have all these different arrow options that were not available to me before to test. So I'm like back to testing, but I don't want to have to do it off of like 3 or 4 different bows. So let's try to keep those to a minimum this year so I can play with arrows.
Right. So I mean, and that's kind of always been my thing. Like, I used to try to have two bows back in the day when I could actually shoot good. I always tried to bring backup bows and all that crap. And then it was actually Jesse Broadwater that we got to the house for outdoor nationals once and he pulled out one bow. And I was like, where's your backup? And he's like, for what? And I'm like, in case this one messes up. And he goes, if this one messes up, I'm done anyway. And
He's
I,
right.
and I was
I don't
like,
I don't really ever have one that I think is going to help me for that event. The only reason I take one, and let me say this, I said I have one that could get the job done. Not if it broke in the middle of the tournament because it's normally not sighted in.
right,
But I have it there more for parts. Like if it was practice day, if I landed and my bow was blown up or something was wrong, or I cut a string in half on, a practice day. It's more like if something went wrong at the beginning, I could get a bow rolling and use parts and get it fixed or set that one up. But I also want it there because depending on the style tournament, I look at it from a shooter of the year standpoint. Like I might lose that tournament, but if I could roll it and get something halfway decent, I could still potentially win shooter of the year for whatever organization. And
right.
so the tournament might be a loss from that standpoint, from like the tournament itself. But I usually have one there just for the peace of mind of like it doesn't completely take me out of shooter of the year if something goes
That's a
horribly
good
wrong.
point. Well, and plus Jesse would show up like 20 minutes before shooting started anyway, so he didn't have to worry about
Yeah.
that. But so yeah, that totally makes sense. So real quick, let's talk about your before we get into your incident not winning at Reading. Let's talk about your switch to Easton. You referenced that, and obviously, look, folks, lots of people shoot lots of arrows very well. If you're into statistics and you're into math and you're into history, nothing's won as much as the X10 period by 100 times. The X10 is the pinnacle of the sport, and outdoor marked yardage stuff. You can't contest it. And so, talk us through that a little bit because when you were shooting, the other all carbon brands, you had some spine variances, a couple different sizes, but with the X10s and the 23s, obviously the 27s, but talk us a little bit through your outdoor, specifically your outdoor arrow process, spine wise, point wise, length wise, and kind of talk us through how you ultimately got to where you ended up, and then of course tell us where you ended up.
So this is actually really funny because I thought that it was going to be this insanely long process. And I had different arrows to test in different spines. And I've always shot, I like the 4 mil size arrow. Like I shoot ready, I shoot field. Anything that we score X is a 6, like NFA field or FIDA field or any of that stuff. I prefer just that little bit extra size. Like no one should be in the pro class missing the edges out to the 5-4 line enough that you're worried about those lines. But between the 6 and the 5, you're there all the time, right? And so in the past, it's kind of the size arrow that I tended to lean towards. FIDA has not been a huge priority. I shoot all the USATs, and obviously I want to win when I go, but I haven't been turning down the World Cup team, so I haven't been shooting a ton of World Cups. If I was shooting World Cups, I would probably be shooting a Pro Tour for that. So I had parallel pros and I was like, okay, I just want to try these. And I actually tried them initially for ASA because I was fighting with my 23s a little bit. I didn't know what spine I wanted to shoot. So for outdoor, it actually kicked off with ASA. So I had 23s in every spine. And I tried and I only had I think one spine for myself, I think a 475, but then Tate had because Tate shot Easton for so many years that I just take his stuff. He had 375s and 300s, I think they are, whatever. And so I tried all of them, and I was having honestly a little weird issue transitioning, like getting my bows to tune, knock height, all this stuff. I had actually we talked about this in length, What
Yes,
ended up fixing it was my blade angle was the biggest thing that I worked with. And I really, really wanted to shoot the 475s for ASA just because they're lighter. And I
I'm out. Blade angle, just tell them what you did to get everything to behave because most people aren't going to necessarily get
know
that.
what I mean. So what I was having when I would look from the side or use, an arrow square, for my arrows to shoot a bullet hole or bare shaft tune, same thing. I would basically have to have them like an 1/8 inch knock high, which I'd rather have it knock high than knock low. But anytime they were running relatively level, I had a wicked, what was I doing? I had a really bad high tear. Yes. So I had a bad high tear. So I kept having to.
Yes,
Okay, well now my brain's screwed up. Yes.
yes, yes.
And so, yes. So then basically I tried a million and one things I won't even name here to try to figure out how to fix it. I tried different bows, I tried cam timings, I tried tiller, knock heights, like different knocks, I tried everything, different center serving sizes. And what ended up fixing it was I like to run my blade normally really steep. So on my blade rest, like I run mine at a pretty steep angle typically. And it's funny because like Tanny does the same thing. And so I've heard Tate and Braden like talk smack about like, why do the girls do that all the time? I don't know. I just like that. And so I had it set up initially pretty steep. And so just lessening the blade angle. So not changing the height because then I would re-raise the rest. So like the overall height was the same, but just changing the blade angle, which changed the stiffness. And yes, I did try different stiffness blades. So I tried 810s, shorts, and longs. Like I tried all the things, nothing worked until I dropped the blade angle. For whatever reason, all of a sudden it got better, which with considering all the things that I tried and it never changed, that makes zero sense. Like sometimes there's just stuff that doesn't work, doesn't make sense, and you do a miserable process of elimination to figure it out. I spent probably 2.5 weeks testing till I found that. And so during those 2.5 weeks, I wanted to pull my hair out. As soon as I figured it out, from then on, it's been easy street. But it was not from the beginning, don't get me wrong. So the first ASA, I was fighting that. And obviously, getting the 23s to shoot, they're a little bit more finicky than a small diameter arrow. So for the first ASA, I just said, I give up and I'm shooting parallel pros. And so very quickly got those, still had the same tuning stuff, but they were still grouping forgiving and grouping well. So I shot the first ASA with that, came back and said, man, I really like the parallel pros. So I threw those on this bow. And it took me about a day of group tuning, I would say. And they were good. And I literally have not touched it since, which normally is not the case. Usually I'm like trying all these arrows and it's different lengths, different tip weights, like different tunes. There, I have like 4 different rests where it's like, okay, this one's kind of good. And then maybe this one. I didn't have to do any of that. Like, honestly, it was just so easy. It was, thank God. Like, it was so nice. Um, and then I came back and had to redo, obviously, 23s because ASA season was still going. So I wanted the 475s to work. So I ended up cutting them down shorter than I normally run them. And I took some point weight out. I always run 120s outdoor. I dropped that down to 110s and ended up getting those to shoot really well. And so through that testing process, it's not like, oh, what looks good through paper. Like all of that would tune through paper. That's not a thing for me. Is shooting them and seeing how they group, how they react. Like if I shoot a mediocre shot that I miss by a 1/4 inch, an inch, or 4 inches, like I'm looking at forgiveness solely and trying to explain that. I mean, if you look at my page, like 75% of it, I swear, is like harping that for people from a tuning standpoint. Like just because it shoots a bullet hole doesn't mean it's going to shoot good, you know?
You're right.
We're talking target, not hunting. Obviously, I always have to leave with that too. Not your hunting bow, just on your target bow. So, from a forgiveness standpoint, I did notice that every time I stiffened the 475, it got a little bit better and a little bit better. And so, again, I wanted that one because I wanted a little bit more lightweight arrow to get some speed because I was typically pretty slow with the ASA stuff. And so, I ended up pulling that off. Did that testing, chopped it down a couple times. I'm still not quite to the rest, so I still have a little bit of room if I wanted to go longer and dropped the point weight a little bit and it got good. The one other thing I did switch is I initially 3-fletched them. I'm not like a huge vein tester, you know that. And I ended up stripping some and then fletching them 4-fletch. And as I was shooting those, I noticed that my good shots, everything was fine, but my crappy, like those mediocre where you're like, oh, get there. They got much more there with the 4-fletch than they did the 3-fletch. My misses were much bigger on the bigger diameter arrow with the 3 fletches. So I ended up stripping all of them and refletching them 4 fletch. And that did help tighten my groups up a little bit as well. So that was the ASA standpoint. From the outdoor spectrum, from the skinny arrows, it, like I said, it was literally so easy. And I did it right before Arizona Cup. And then we literally had Arizona break the barriers, ASA, and then Reading. So we haven't really had a break.
Right. So
Yeah.
did you shoot the parallel pro and ready?
Yes.
What spine?
520.
Arrow length?
26 and a half, 26 and a quarter, 26, just under 26 and a half.
What point weight did you end up with?
120s.
Okay. And what, I don't know what program you're running. I think you're running the precision, aren't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. My total arrow weight's 322, just because I know people will ask.
That was what I was going to ask. And what
Okay.
sort of speed did it say you were getting?
Is it bad? I didn't even look. I don't care. I have no clue.
It's
You
not
want me to
for
swipe up and look at my program?
it's not for us, Paige. It's for the interwebs and the people
I know.
listening.
I couldn't tell you. Here's what I can tell you.
Ask Tate.
He wouldn't know. He doesn't do any of my stuff for me.
He doesn't pay attention to that at all.
No. Oh, you know what I did do? Hold on. I have an idea. We have that lab radar, and I shot my bow with the lab radar. Can I swipe up? Is that okay to look at my notes?
Of course.
It's in there. Okay, hold on. For
You-
everybody who, I'm going to turn you sideways. I'm really jacking stuff up right now.
For those of you wondering, this is a snapshot of the life of Paige Pearce right now.
Yeah, I
So,
had to write it in here.
right. So right now, if you're watching, Paige is accessing her phone to find out the speed, not because it matters, but that's the very reason I'm asking
Yeah, I
is
give up. I'm just going to go to precision code.
it doesn't necessarily matter what the speed is. Back in the day when Jesse was crushing everything, all he told me is he wanted to be at 265 or better.
You want to know what it is?
What's that?
258.
There. See, folks, there you have it.
Yeah, I'm
So
doing it now. There we go.
there we
Final
go.
distance.
Look at you go. Okay, so 258 feet per second with a 300 and what grain arrow?
22.
Okay. And for those of you that were in Reading, you saw the wind on Sunday. And so let's just parlay right into this. And obviously, we could reference many, many, many pros over the years who've said you got to have a heavy arrow and you got to be shooting speed in the wind. So explain to how many did you drop on Sunday again?
2.
Oh, I want to fight you.
On the same target. I shot a 20.
Yeah, I shot a lot of those. But anyway, so Paige dropped two points on Sunday on 20 targets, even though she dropped them both on the same target, with that light of an arrow shooting 258. And so, we're gonna get into big heavy FOC type crap, but what we are gonna discuss is the fact that if you can't shoot in the wind, you can't shoot in the wind. It doesn't add me to the list. And so yes, I'm sure Paige would love to be shooting 288 with a 420 grain arrow.
I would,
That
but
would be spectacular. But guess what? She can't. And apparently she doesn't need to. And so I know this is going to come as a very big disappointment to some people that believe that you have to or you won't be successful. That's just not the case. And so before we get into the conversation of wind, how many hundreds of ounces do you have on your bow's stabilizers?
a lot. I don't even know. I'd have to count. 20 something, 23 probably ish on the front, and then roughly 40 ish on the back.
Yeah, so
Plus the couple like 8-ounce wide bar, plus that SOS, which is not light either.
yeah, we're talking pounds, folks. In case you're wondering and you're Googling right now how many ounces there are in a pound.
16.
Yeah, Paige is chilling with a pound and 3/4 out front, more than a pound. It's redonkulous. And trust me, archery's not a strength issue. I wish it was. But So let's talk about that a little bit. And that is shooting in the wind, not FIDA shooting in the wind where you're standing in one place, shooting at one distance. You got wind flags and you got the barrel wind things, and you got, in Reading, it's the wild, wild west. And so, talk a little bit about your methodology and your system to dropping two in the probably, I don't know as if I've ever seen worse wind in
Yeah.
Reading. I've certainly not seen worse wind in Reading when it wasn't pouring rain. And
Yeah.
even then, that wind on Sunday was top three ever. And so talk a little bit about how you manage to not only that, you're still shooting an 8 power, right?
Yes.
Oh,
So
oh,
you see the move, you see the
wow.
movement. And my sight length is like 33 and change, 33 and a half almost. So
Paige is a savage. So talk us through how you manage. Now, yes, heavy bow certainly
it
helps.
helps. Yes.
You not being 6'6" or 7, 290 pounds helps too. Because trust me, folks, when I put my arms out at full draw, me and Tim and Steve we catch more wind. But
Can I actually say something? I aim better in the wind when I'm fatter. When you get skinnier, it's actually harder to aim in the wind. And I can attest to both.
well, lower center of gravity, yes, I can certainly understand that. And so try being like 6'7".
Yeah,
It's
that's the height. Yeah, that doesn't count. That doesn't
terrible.
change. But the
It's terrible. I've literally shot FIDE events with Matt Stutzman in front of me, and he's like, "The wind's not bad," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, bro, you're two and a half, yeah, you're 2.5 feet off the ground, and I'm blocking it all."
yeah.
But so, talk to people a little bit about how you manage with a light arrow, 258 in speed, but a 12-pound bow or whatever it is. But kind of talk
14.
right? Talk people through how you manage to still shoot at such a high level in such terrible wind with that.
There is something to learning to shoot in the wind. Like there's people who so it all comes back to the mental side of stuff as well, but there is a skill that I'll talk about too. But a lot of the people beat themselves before they even draw the bow back or before the day even starts. And so they're, oh my God, it's windy. It's going to be so hard. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And I will say that Sunday was probably one of the windiest days we've had in Reading, but there were lulls, at least where we were. And so to me, a lot of shooting in the wind is learning that wind and like really paying attention. And so even when I wasn't shooting, like and other people were on the line, I would still be listening to the lulls, hearing the direction that it's coming from. When you first hear it, how long do they have till it hits them? Um, Certain things like I noticed on Sunday when the biggest, worst wind gusts came through, you had the best lull as soon as that was done. And so, like, there were things like that that I really hyper focused on in the wind. So, when I was making my shots, I wasn't at full draw, like doing all of this stuff. I made it half as hard from the start by drawing my bow back at the right time.
Right.
And then there's definitely times where I drew back and one hit, a gust hit that I wasn't expecting and had to let down. Don't get me wrong. But I never got to my last letdown. I rarely let down, to be honest. There's one target I had let down twice, and I shot it on my third, and it was actually the little targets right before the caribou, like the little possums or whatever. So it was like a close target that I was doing that on. But for the most part, I think learning to read the wind, like most people don't pay attention to that. Like I just said that, and most people at Reading would be like, huh? You did what? And it's like I'm focusing
Right.
on that all the time. Now, the difference between Reading and FIDA is FIDA's one direction and the wind, we shoot the same direction and the wind usually comes from the same direction the whole time. You can put clicks in your sight, you can bubble, you can learn the consistency. Reading, you're shooting different directions all the time. So like you can't really click your sight because one time's the wind's coming left to right and you turn backwards and now it's right to left. So I didn't do a whole lot of aiming off. Like I never aimed off on Sunday off of the dot. The one target I
What?
missed, I should have. Yes.
What?
Yeah, like I just was pretty good at timing. And the other thing with timing is timing the wind, but also your shot timing.
Right.
Like if it's dead calm, you can take your time, you can relax. Like on Sunday, it was like get there and go. Like you don't slow down. You shoot a little bit more of an aggressive style shot. Um, And I still don't, you don't want to rush the shot because then you miss stuff because you're rushing. But in a way, you're rushing. It's just, it's hard to explain. But like when you do it a lot and you've practiced that, like you have kind of like I said, I have two modes. There's
Right.
like a win mode and not a win mode. And so, win mode kicks in and it's like, get up and get it gone
Right.
and you just make it count. And so honestly, years of shooting FIDA have helped with that. Like if all I shot was ASA and then they threw me in on on breading Sunday, I would be so screwed.
Right.
But my background in FIDA makes those situations easier because I don't panic. Like the first step is just don't panic. Like everyone's like, oh my God, it's so windy. I was like listening to everybody and I'm like, dude, you're talking yourself into sucking before you even draw your bow back. Like
Right.
take a breath, focus on what you need to do, and like do each little step smarter and pay attention to those things. And like you just have to be more aware. Like yeah, mentally, you're way more drained on a wind day and physically
Right.
than, a day you don't have to think about that.
And so when you have to speed up your process when you're shooting in wind like that, does the process change or do you just speed it up?
Sometimes um I would say I rush a little bit to get to my anchor. Like a lot of times, it's a little slower or methodical and it's just like, "Ooh," like get the bow back. Um And it probably, if you watched me, it probably looks the same. Just to me, it could be milliseconds different, right? But in my mind, I'm like, get it and get there. And then it's a lot of the times I'm more patient getting it to the click. It's not really a rush. I'm not even shooting the shot technically to get the release to the click, right? Shooting the hinge. I'm just like waiting for the bow to settle and everything to feel good. I'm checking my peep alignment and my housing alignment and it's like all this stuff that I'm making sure is right as I'm rolling to the click. And then as soon as it clicks, it's like, okay, now we're going. um the process to the click is a whole lot faster in the wind. You're just like, get there, it better be aligned, get to the damn click. Like you don't have time to just lollygag, I guess, and just like chill about all of that stuff. If you do, you're gonna miss the lulls.
Right. And what
But experience makes it to where you can still do all of that right without thinking about it or focusing on it.
right. And what release were you shooting in Reading?
The Fulcrum Flex AC in a small.
So a hinge.
Mhm. Yes,
Okay. And had you still, so you had slowed it down and put a longer click in it, correct?
I stayed with that
Okay.
through the whole
So
weekend.
so about how much rotation do you have after the click before the shot
I
breaks?
mean, quite a bit. Like you can see my whole like hand like move and stuff before it fires. So it's not one of those things where it's so fast where you think you're moving but no one sees it. Like if you stand there and watch me, you can see like the full rotation before it fires. So there's quite a bit in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, so when you say,
It's that one's adjustable. So I would tell you like how many thou my click ledge is, but that one's not like that because you can adjust it. So I have it set almost all the way slow is the best I got for you.
okay. And so when you say you didn't aim off the dot at all, were you putting clicks into your sight left and right, or were you just waiting for lulls to where you could just aim one side of the dot or the other?
Yeah, just that. Like depending on the target. So like I just posted that trip video today and you saw me shoot the bears at the top of the canyon and that was the first day. So there was a little, yeah, first day, a little bit of wind. There's always wind up at those bears, right? I didn't put anything in. I aimed pretty strong, still in the dot, like tweener at 9 o'clock. And my first one take called 3 shafts in. And you saw me reach and spin 3 clicks. I shot it and then I took the 3 clicks back out. So there's certain times where I'll definitely do that. The moose down the top of the hill. It's like 73-ish. That one there's usually wind coming down and like I'll give it three. I'll only do like three or four max, you know what I mean? But I'll throw a few comfort clicks as I call them in on specific targets if I need it. And then I turn around and take it right back out.
Right. All right. And so let's talk about this for a minute. And it is how long, because, and look, folks, I've made jokes about Paige needing me to make her a bar that weighed 3 ounces, completely built because she
Yeah.
couldn't handle the weight, and that's been legendary. But how long did it take you? Because I heard the stories from Braden about Tanya, where he just basically threw 10 ounces on the front and said, pull your big girl panties up and shoot.
Mhm.
But how long did it take you to go from 1 ounce destroying you to 25 ounces out front?
I mean, years, really. But the biggest thing for me was holding weight. So I always had 12 pounds of holding weight, 12, 12 and a half. And so at that 1 ounce feels like a lot.
Right.
when we got the Bowtech Reckoning Gen 1s and I figured out how to punch the mod pins, free rotate the mod and adjust my holding weight wherever I wanted it and not change my draw length, then it was like a whole different ball game. I was shooting almost 22 pounds of holding weight. And so the same amount of, yeah, the same amount of weight
What?
that, yeah. You never felt my bow. They would all joke, they would drop back. They're like, it's a recurve. Like the guys couldn't hold it on the back wall.
You're shooting, what are you shooting?
Not right now. Right now, I'm shooting like 19. But the Gen 2s do not like the holding weight as much as the Gen 1s. So I'm only shooting 19 because that's what the bow wants, not because that's what I want. Yeah,
Hmm. And you don't, I
that
mean,
helps. So from a wind standpoint,
yes.
that's just as much help as the mass weight, if not more.
Oh, 100%.
Um, And so I always kind of explain people it's like a ratio where it's like you have a little light rubber band, and if you put weight on your hand, it's going to feel like nothing. But when you get a really, really stiff rubber band, you have that extra tension, you can add the weight and it doesn't feel like it's as much weight. So to me, like if you go from, let's say, 13 to 19 pounds of holding weight, you could probably throw 10 ounces on the front and not notice that much difference just because of the tension difference, whatever that
Right.
you're holding back. So I say it took years, but it took years because I'd up my holding weight, and at the same mass weight with a higher holding weight, my bow felt like a tinker toy. It moved so fast.
Right.
So then I started adding weight on it to slow it down to a sight picture that I was used to seeing that worked with that holding weight. And then I went to like, whoa, hold on. My phone just freaked out. Okay, we good? Then I went, from like 17 to 18 to 19 to 20 to 21, 22. And so as I slowly walked up, I could slowly add an ounce or two, an ounce or two, an ounce or two until here we are now. And that definitely helped in the wind. And there were times like I had my bow set up, tuned, built. I shot it here at the house. I thought it was great. It was really good. I rolled into Arizona Cup this year and shot that practice day with that video where the arrow like blows off my bow and the wind was
Right.
horrible.
Right.
I shot one end of practice and went, oh, hell no. And I moved my mods and changed my holding weight right then and there. And we just went, that's not going to play. And so it's funny because it, you think it's good because you're sitting shooting at home. There's no wind. You're not nervous. All the things feel fine. You either add pressure or add wind, and you're like, oh shit. Like I need more holding weight. So I did. I increased it about 3/4 of a line. For the people who have a Gen 2, they'll know what that means. I don't even know from a poundage standpoint what that is. It was just I moved it until it aimed better in the wind, and it didn't. Basically, when I got there, it had a whip in it where like the bow would want to move independent of everything.
Right.
I increased the holding weight until it would want to move as one unit, and that individual whip was gone. And that was my point of measure, not how many pounds is it or, whatever. It was make it aim and make it quit wanting to move independent of my damn arm. And
Right.
so I did that. And then I left that because I knew, like, okay, I better just man up and adjust to that. And by the end of Arizona Cup, I already was anyway. But it's like, that's what I'm going to need because if you're at Reading and that happens, or if you're like shooting something and you actually get super nervous, like holding weight helps that movement not translate into the bow and into the sight picture. So I never put it back. It wasn't like I finished Arizona and went, let me go backwards. I left it and said that's where it needs to be.
And now through all of this growth and so folks, just to explain to you right now, the best explanation for what Paige was talking about there is post tensioning. So if you like going to a casino or a big convention center and there's a big floor, there's a roof above you, that's the floor for above you, and there's no big pillars, that's called post tensioning. And there's cables that run through the middle of that concrete floor. And the tighter those cables are, the more weight it'll hold up. The looser those cables are, the floor will sag. So what Paige is talking about is the more holding weight you have, the harder you're pulling, the more weight you can support without really knowing it. That's what Paige is talking about there. And so through all of this, mass weight, holding weight, have you had any physical manifestations from that? Shoulder pain, back pain, rotator cuff pain, headache pain, like
My elbow sucked even back when I shot no weight. Like when I was 15, I needed elbow surgery.
Oh,
So, and
the
I,
one that went the wrong direction?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I never ended up doing it. My joint grew wrong, so Tommy John surgery wouldn't help. So they just told me, you're screwed. Quit archery. So that's when I took a year off FIDA and I shot ASA for the first time, like 10, 11 years ago. And because ASA is like you're basically not shooting compared to shooting the 144 arrows a day we used to do at USATs back then.
Right.
And so that was my time off was shooting ASA. And so I just learned how to rotate my shoulder or rotate my elbow like different before the shot and during the shot to change the pressure and how that went in. And I have a video showing that. And that's what I did. That's what I learned to be able to not have a bum elbow anymore. My shoulder started hurting over the years before I actually started doing mass weight or holding weight. That started hurting from shooting the wrist strap. And I just went back at the first ASA and tried to shoot a wrist strap. And I was like, okay, I'm going to actually make the right equipment adjustments because I'm starting from scratch. I'm going to make my draw length longer. I'm going to make my D loop longer. I'm going to play with the release length. Like I'm going to do all these things to actually get it in a position where it shouldn't theoretically hurt. And it still hurt. So that was a very short-lived attempt at wrist strap again because I love shooting a wrist strap, but
But
it
why did it?
kills.
Why?
So let me see if I can show you on here. For whatever reason, when I set in with a button and I pull back, this naturally like wants to stay down. It doesn't fight me. When I come here and I pull with a wrist strap, like naturally this just wants to go up. Like it. And so what I tried to do was be conscious of that, lengthen my draw length out, change my pee pipe and all the things. Because a lot of times I'll just like last year I won outdoor nationals and I didn't change my setup. It was just so windy. I was like, screw this. I don't want to get target panic on a release. I'm actually trying to shoot. So I just grabbed a wrist strap and just did janky stuff and just shot it for 2 days in the crazy wind and it worked. And then I put it down. And I can hurt it for like short periods of time and that's fine. But I was like, well, I'm going to go back and really shoot a wrist strap. I want to try it right. And so I really tried to like keep that down and back and like focus on that. It didn't work. It still hurts. So for whatever reason, just with how my shoulder sets in, I have an impingement in there and it is mass. Like just doing that to show you, I can feel it. Like it is
Wow.
the weirdest thing. And so um working around that at one point, that's the only reason I left shooting a wrist strap and went back to a button was my shoulder. It was so bad. I could draw the bow back to here and I could not get my hand to my face to anchor. And I
Wow.
was so frustrated. And that was 2019 end of 2019, like that indoor season, 2019, 2020. And so that sucked, but that wasn't really too bad a weight at that time. The only other thing that I've noticed from a body standpoint was poundage, actually. So holding weight, I could go, I mean, pretty damn heavy, like 22 is as heavy as most any of the men shoot. And I didn't have any issues. A couple years back, I was like, man, I hate shooting 250 feet per second. I want to be a little bit faster. And so I only shoot like 54-ish pounds right now. And so I tried to shoot like 58, 58 and a half for a full season. And same thing, I just thought like it's not actually hard for me to draw that, but I was like, oh, I'll adjust, everything will build up and it'll be totally fine. And that entire season, my shoulder hurt. Every tournament, every day of practice, like it hurt. It never got better. The hurt never got less. It just sucked. And so finally I went, why?
Right.
Like I won enough stuff. My scores didn't get any better that year. Like I didn't actually, see an improvement from my bow being that much faster, but it just freaking hurt all the time. So then I just went back to my 54, 55 pounds and I don't really have the pain. So there's certain things where you got to listen to your body. Like if my body was telling me, oh my God, this mass weight's crippling you, I'd have to figure something else out or like the holding weight isn't working or whatever. But the only thing I've had that with was poundage. And then I went back to what didn't hurt.
And are you running the same kind of stabilizer weights and holding weight and all that indoors and outdoors now?
Same. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well,
Yep.
that's pretty, I mean, that's good stuff. Makes me
Yeah.
want to put 65% mods back on, but we'll see what happens. So,
Yeah. I just notice when I get nervous, I really see a difference with a little bit more holding weight.
oh, for sure. 100%.
Mhm.
100%. All right. So let's talk about Reading here. I should three-way in Aaron Snyder from Born Primitive and have him go over a tutorial on how to lace up boots, or have one here as a demonstration, but I don't. And so, for those of
There-
you that didn't hear and didn't see Paige's new surgery only fans that she posted, um, Paige went ahead and ate shit at Reading. All of the shit. Think about Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park and that giant dinosaur pile of shit. Paige ate all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Luckily, she hit her, well, I suppose luckily she hit her leg, not her face, because,
My face would have been fine as long as it wasn't my hands or arms.
right, yeah. If you knocked out your grill, if you knocked out some teeth, you would not be so stoked about it. But,
No, but I'd still be shooting.
well, you shot anyway and still
But
won.
if
So,
that gash was like on my left hand where my bow needed
oh,
to
you'd
sit or
be
something,
screwed.
like it could have been way because my hands hit it too. It
This
could have been way worse.
So, so Paige was shooting the uphill deer at the top of the canyon, and as you go to walk down, and here's the thing about Redding. Redding does a spectacular job of either building steps, building walkways, having bridges, but several of the bridges they have are these pre-manufactured metal ones. So this particular one, if you're old enough to remember the ridged bicycle pedals from way back in the day, that if you went to pedal and you missed it and it went up your shin, it took a pound of flesh with it. Imagine those 32 inches wide and 8 feet long. Well, that's what this bridge was. And so, Paige, go ahead and explain number one, how,
Why I'm stupid.
well, I don't know about that, but how exactly you came to have 12-inch loops hanging off both sides of your boots that ultimately ended up catching the other boot, hog tying you, and resulting in this
Epic
incident.
place plant, yeah. So I hate wearing boots. I have the most bendy joints, and like I can stand with my foot and like talk to you. And if this, okay, this is my foot and this is my ankle, I can just roll my ankle and like completely set it on the ground and talk to you and it doesn't hurt. So like I'll be walking all the time and I will roll my ankle to the point it looks like it's snapped in half. And I'm just like, whatever. Like my joints are all too loose. They call it hypermobile. So they like to say. And so wearing like walking side hills and like wearing boots that are above like a normal tennis shoe height restrict my ankle movement, which is supposedly a good thing for ankle support. It drives me insane because it's like walking is so different. Like normally if I walk side hill, my joints are just bent and I just walk. So all of a sudden, like your legs are straight and you have to like keep your feet weird. And I'm not used to that. So I have crispy boots and they are like there's three hooks. So like the hook that goes back and then two upper hooks. And I don't like to do the upper hooks because I still like my ankles to be all floppy. This sounds so stupid. I realize that as I'm saying it. And so I actually tripped on them at Break the Barriers and was like, but I saved it. The same exact thing happened like the weekend before, 2 weeks before. And I was like, oh, okay, I need a better solution. So what I started doing was I would tie them and then I would just wrap it like around the back and around the front, around the back and around the front, and then tie it. So the loops weren't actually that big.
Okay.
So I did do that at Ready, thinking, okay, my loops are a lot smaller. I have less lace exposed. It should be fine. Apparently I still walk with my feet too close together, and those hooks are obviously easier to catch when there isn't a lace in the hook, eating up that space.
Yeah.
So I did have a plan and I executed it and it still did not work.
And so as you were walking, your right foot came close to your left foot, and one of those loops from the
Oh,
right foot
yeah.
hooked in
The
the
left boot.
left boot, and you basically went down like a baby calf at a rodeo.
Yeah, pretty much. And I tried to save it, but there was no saving it.
Save
Also,
save what?
myself. I
And
was walking downhill because obviously the bridge is like in the bottom.
right.
And everyone was thinking I was like on the bridge. Like I've seen in the comments people tried to like blame Redding, like, oh, that bridge. I'm like, I tripped 3 feet from the bridge. Like I was nowhere near the bridge when I
Landed
fell.
on it.
Yes, I fell from above it, tripped forward with the leverage going downhill, and landed on it. And I didn't know that I had done that. Like as an archer, same thing if you hunt with guns. Like when you fall, it's like, everything's in the air, right? Like that's all I thought about was like, oh my God, save my bow. And I did. I saved my bow. And so I fell and I was down and I had my bow up and my feet were still stuck together. And so I leaned back, like I was on my hands and knees almost basically. So I just sat back on my butt and then flipped my feet around in front of me to unhook my boot so I could move my feet again. And then I set my bow down and I like just reached and grabbed, it's like sitting here with my knee. I reached and grabbed my knee and I was like, oh, I'm bleeding. And then of course everyone's like, ugh. And I was more like my ego was more hurt than anything because how embarrassing. There's so many people at that point that can see you eat shit. It's not like you're tucked back where there's like just your group. No, there's
Right.
like the group behind you and the group with the bears and the group in front of you and the group with the possums and the group with the stupid otters behind. Like there's so many groups of people there that just watch that epic fall.
And
So
and what was one of the first things you yelled to your mom?
are you talking about the F and Crispies or the you better be filming?
You better be filming. Paige is sitting
Yeah.
here talking. Paige is sitting here talking about how embarrassing it is in front of 50 to 75 archers. And yet one of her first things is, Mom, you had better be recording.
Well,
So
I already did the stupid thing, so there was no going back at that point.
this is true, and you're not hiding it.
No.
And
So
yeah, so at what was your arrows? I don't remember your quiver situation. Were you hip quivering it, seeding?
I hip quivered and I kept all my arrows in my quiver, didn't bend a single arrow. Like I did good. My bow didn't hit, my arrows didn't hit. Like I tried too hard to save the equipment, probably not myself. But the backstory that I don't know if you know is last weekend at Fresno, Tate and Dean went down and shot Fresno together, and he had a pretty epic fall. And he was walking, and instead of walking on the trail, he walked down some rocks with some moss and like slipped and fell, and he hit his elbow really bad. His elbow, I think he probably broke part of it. It's like totally flat and all weird. But he broke his cam, he broke two limbs, he snapped his front stabilizer in half.
Who did?
Tate.
Oh yeah, yeah. You said
Yeah.
okay. I thought you said Cam. I'm like,
No,
what?
no, no. He broke his cam, broke both limbs, and broke his stabilizer in half, his front bar. So he just did that last weekend, and we were all like, "What is wrong with you? Like, who falls and puts your bow down and breaks it?" And he's like, "I fell so fast, there wasn't even time. Like, I don't even." And I'm like, "How did you break your cam and your front stabilizer? Like, on a bow, if one hits, the other shouldn't." Like, I still to this because I wasn't there. I was obviously the ASA. I still don't understand how he broke all the things that he broke. He also hit his sight because his third axis, his sight was pushed all the way in after that fall. So we were talking mad shit because Tate fell, obviously had to come back, re-put his bow together, start from scratch, tune it, shoot marks like that whole Reading week. And so we were all talking smack about how he fell and just like threw his bow basically to save himself.
Right,
So like that millisecond of me falling, it was just like, oh God, save your bow.
right.
Don't pull a Tate, save your bow.
Well, one of the other things that you said, and I've been joking around about Paige having a sponsor for this particular item because she puts it on her left arm all the time, is, and folks, go look at Paige's socials. Go look at the gash she had on her leg. And this chick says out loud, does anybody have any duct tape? Like, Paige. You,
I know.
so, I mean, when you rub some dirt on it and call it good, put some mercurochrome. So,
Super glue, the AAE, Max
oh, I
Bond,
said
and
that
some
right
duct
away.
tape.
As
Yeah.
soon as you sent me the thing, I said, oh, I guarantee you this chick's asking anybody if they have any Max Bond.
Yeah.
But
Super glue and duct tape.
yeah, at what point? Okay, so obviously, when did it dawn on you? How long after you looked were you like, oh shit, that's for real?
I didn't actually realize it was even that bad until I went to get the stitches. If you want to,
What?
yeah. I mean, you watched the video, right? Like, I
Did
was just like,
you watch the video you sent me?
yeah, I
And
took it.
you didn't. I literally consumed that for about a millisecond, was like, holy shit.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is another thing that's really weird with me. I don't understand. I'm just a mess. I don't know. I don't think I feel pain how other people feel pain, is
Right,
how I would say that. And and I don't want to, there's like people out there who they have some weird misfire in their body and they feel like no pain. That's not true. Like I can pinch myself and I feel it. Like, I don't know. But everyone kept being like, and you hear it in that video, like, do you want ibuprofen? I'm like, no. You're gonna need it. I'm like, no, I won't. I'll take some, I guess, but like I'll be fine. And then everyone kept telling me also, and so I wrote in there like, you hear me because I'm wearing a mic, but like the people who aren't close to me are talking to me still, but you don't always hear like what they were saying in that video. So
Right.
like, you know, for a couple targets, everyone kept saying like, as soon as that adrenaline wears off, you're going to be in severe pain. Like it is going to hurt, and you're going to hate your life, and you're not going to want to be out here anymore, and you're going to want to leave. So like I kept waiting for the severe pain to like happen, and it never did. Like it never hurt. It still
So
hasn't hurt.
so before that took place, did walking or did catching a ride off of the course ever cross your mind?
Fuck no. Sorry. No. No.
You can do
Like,
that on this podcast. But
okay.
yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. And so,
Lord,
okay.
no.
And so, how seriously, people, if you don't like, I showed the cut video to Gaius Carter and he started dry heaving. Gaius can't handle it. So, if you can't handle,
Tate can't handle it
yeah,
either.
if you can't handle some gore, and it is gore, there's no blood, but it is gore. Like if you don't like the fat, bubbly meat inside of the, don't watch it. But if you don't mind, it's wild. And so, did obviously the next day we saw you come in wrapped up, limping like a pirate, all that kind of good shit. But how did that, this day it happened and the following subsequent days, how did that affect your form at all as far as shooting?
Because it was that leg, and I said I got really lucky. It was my right leg. It didn't at all. If it was my left leg, then I would have had, I don't want to say an issue because I still would have just found a way to work around it. But the way that I set up, my right leg is always locked, and my left leg is like bent, and my toes would be on the ground, and my heel is typically resting against my right leg. Like it's like I'm balancing kind of. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but like I set my left heel on my right calf, kind of, and then I set my bow on my bent leg. And so when I got the stitches, I got really lucky because the doctor also shoots and he knows me. And so he was like, doctor's orders, stay in bed, ice your leg on this rotation, elevate your leg, do all this shit. And then he's like, listen, I know you're not going to do any of that. Here's your real orders. Don't bend your leg.
Right.
You're going to rip your stitches out. Like if there's one thing that you need to listen to, because I know you won't listen to any of the other stuff, don't bend your leg. So that's why I was like gimping around on Saturday and Sunday, because obviously I ended up with 24 stitches. And so he thankfully did some, they're called mattress stitches. So I guess it's just like different tie and a lot thicker, more like durable stitch material. And so he started with the 7 mattress stitches, and it was deep and it was wide. So he said that he actually needed to do that anyway because he couldn't pull hard enough on the normal stitches to get it to come together. So it helped from his stitching standpoint, but it also helped because he said this will make it way less likely that you rip your stitches out.
Gotcha.
Um, so I was like, okay, cool. So he did 7 mattress stitches to get it all pulled together. Then he went through and did 17 normal stitches around the mattress stitches.
Right.
And so that helped. And so, yeah, also, I didn't realize like it was still really swollen. And so, like, you couldn't see my kneecap. I posted a video on my story the other night. I'm like, look, my knee looks like it's like caved in. Well, it's because the other part was so swollen. Like, today I have a kneecap again. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's just all the swelling's going down. So, yeah, I was limping around with it straight. So other than like I looked ridiculous trying to walk like up and down the hills limping, when I actually got to the act of shooting, nothing changed. Had it been my other leg, I would have had to have left like my front bar on the ground and then drawn up from there instead of starting from my leg. So I was actually really happy it was my right knee instead of my left, which I'd have figured it out, but it was nice to not have to change that anything.
And so, how is this whole, like I saw you lift your leg up and it's still wrapped.
Yeah.
How is that bear hunt gonna factor into all this?
Have you met me? I'm just gonna do it. I don't know. Um, Basically, I don't have enough days for the stitches to be in what they're supposed to be. So I'm gonna go back and see him, and he's gonna cut the mattress stitches out because apparently they're a little more finicky, and you got to cut them in the right spot and pull the right thing. I don't know, whatever. So he's gonna cut the 7 mattress stitches out, and I'm going to leave the remaining stitches in and just cut them out myself a few days later when I'm in Alaska. So that way they get enough time already. Because I think we're pretty much going to be bear hunting at the time they're supposed to come out. So yeah, typical Paige fashion. That was horrible timing. Like, let me just not from just the Reading perspective, but like bear hunt in Alaska in 9 days is not what you want when you fall on your face. So, uh, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. I'll attack him out myself on the boat. So I'll just leave him in as long as I can until we go hunt. Why are you surprised? Like, you
Uh,
should know that's
I'm not surprised in any kind of way, shape, or form. I am just processing.
yeah.
I'm processing. So, and just to back up for a second, to give people perspective, what day did this happen?
Uh, Friday morning. Six target of the day.
Sixth target of the day, and you have 19 more to go.
Yeah. It
How,
was 6.5 hours more after that happened before I left to go to the doctor.
yeah, and so how many points on this Reading course through the canyon did you drop after this particular
So I
incident?
actually missed my very first target of the day, and then I never missed again. So after that happened, I never missed.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? I I don't know. I need some therapy or something. That is
No, I think I actually need therapy probably.
well,
Yeah.
Paige, you need an intervention is what you need.
Yeah, probably.
Just some
I just like I'm telling you, when a tournament is happening, it's just like that's all I give a shit about. And that's how, like you said, there's like dumpster fire this or mold house that or divorce this or pick your poison of life
uh,
disasters for me.
one note, people. Divorce thing was in the
Before.
past,
That's not
not,
Tate. Yeah.
not
Tate's
current,
still here. Yeah.
not
I'm
current.
just saying, like different random things. I last year I had freaking surgery that thought I had cancer and took that lump out. And 4 days later I went and won both indoor nationals back to back. Like
I remember.
I yeah, I don't like there's no excuses. I think that's how I look at it is I just see people make the most ridiculous excuses like all the time that aren't even excuses. And I think the reason I've been so successful is it's like no, I'm not doing that. Like the excuse would be I sucked, which isn't an excuse. It would be like a fact, right? Or like factually this happened. Like those people are like, God, I just don't know like why, but I think it's this, or oh, I just had this thing at home. Like that's just you being weak-minded. Like that's not like I don't know. To me, that's how I look at all of that stuff. And so like while I bet you this was valid enough, and again, a few things you do hear me say in there, someone says you're really not going to want to walk around on that all day. And in the video, I said, well, I'm going to.
Right,
And then they looked at me like, no, you're not. And my response was, you're going to have to cut my effing arm off before you get me to leave the Reading range. It's not happening.
right,
And so, like, had I been like, oh God, you're right, I should probably go to the hospital and left, I don't think any sponsors would have held that against me. I don't think any people would have held that against me.
just
But
you.
holy hell, I would have hated myself. Like, there's no way.
Right, right.
And so, like, that didn't even cross my mind. It wasn't, and I've had people ask me, like, oh, did you do that because you're sponsors or did you do that? No, God, no. That's all me. Like,
Right,
that's not, I'm sure they would have been greatly supportive, but that's just not who I am.
right,
And let me just add again, let me say, it didn't hurt. Like it never did hurt. I'm freaking wired weird. And so, people are soft nowadays. I don't know, whatever. And like if people were out there crying in excruciating pain and wanted to leave, like that's fine. I genuinely did not feel that. Like if you can't watch that video and tell that I'm just annoyed, embarrassed, and wanting to get back to shooting, then like there's no pain there. You know what I
right.
mean?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
know I know that that's not normal, but that's just my reality. My dad shot with Zach Kurtzels that weekend in the whole weight group, and he was telling them a story, I think on Saturday, and he was like, she broke her jaw and her bone is sticking out of her face. And I walk in and I'm like weak at the knees and gonna faint and puke and cry. And she's like, it's okay, daddy, everything's fine, blah, blah, blah. And here's her bone. And like, I've kind of always been that way.
Right,
And so, I've had surgeries that I'm supposed to be bedridden for weeks and I'm up doing shit in 2 days. Like I just don't, I don't know. Like I don't like being cooped up and I don't like being a sissy.
Right. You were gardening already.
Oh yeah, I went and watered 150 oleanders and carried around a 5-gallon bucket today to do it. And watered some garden plants. I'm gonna go put in a drip system tonight. And I planted a bunch of plants last night. Like I never quit doing. I watered plants each night of Reading when I got home, and my was screwed up.
So,
Like
so let's back up a little bit. For those that don't know, before Paige, um, she was starting to dominate already, but I want to tap on this mentality a little bit. You were shooting professionally, you were going to college, and you were working at Sportsman's Warehouse at one point, correct?
no, yeah, but not sportsman's. That's kind of lame. I was running a nonprofit for like 5 or 6 years.
Didn't you work? I thought you
Oh,
worked.
I did. I still kind of technically worked there, but I never like worked there an extent that was hard. But like I worked a full-time job running a nonprofit, which is like way more taxing than
Right,
anything at Sportsman's. I also ran archery shop. Like there was an archery shop in Chico that opened, and I ran that solely for a while. Like I've always kind of worked and done other things. I substitute taught. I always do. I stay busy.
right. And so at what point, look, this is one of those moments that some people realize in their life that they have the it, you know, whether it's the Michael Jordan effect or the Kobe or the whomever, the Jesse, obviously Bodie has it. Um, and so, and I can remember when your parents threw you into the men's class when you were like a young teenager, and you never liked getting your ass kicked then either.
No.
There was just nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
And then, so my question for you is this, is at what point did you realize and folks, look, we joke about this, it's all friendly, it's all love, but at what point did you realize the I'm not normal is a massive benefit in your case?
Honestly, I don't. I don't really know. Like it's almost weird. Like how people talk about like that imposter syndrome or whatever.
Yes.
Like I remember when I started shooting, I was winning tournaments or whatever, and people would come up to me and ask for an autograph, and I'd be like, why? And I'd like sign their thing, and I'm like, Mom, why do they want my autograph? Like
Right.
it just, even to this day, like still sometimes, like I'll meet someone and they like cry, and I'm like, I swear I'm not that cool.
Right.
Like I'm normal.
Right.
I mean, I'm not normal, but in the non cool way, you know what I mean? Like breathe. I'm not that cool. So I don't know. I just have never really felt like uh, it was that big of a deal. I don't know. Like I'm always just like I shoot a bow and I hit the middle more than some other people. Like I don't know. It's to me it's weird. But like I would say when I mean I was going to school and whatever else, but you see other people go to college and full time and work and do other things and they're successful. But like I've been pretty driven since I was young. So I think this is where it's like you're asking me that, but I don't know really how to answer it because like even in school, I was a straight A student. Like I left high school, went to college. I graduated with my first AA when everybody else graduated from high school. Like I kind of excelled in like I did fiddle competitions and never practiced and won those. Like I did beauty pageants and did good in that. Like I just would pick stuff up and I kind of was just good at it. And,
Right.
and I don't want it to sound like I didn't have to work because obviously, as people see, like, yes, I work hard. I'm willing to put the work in to be good.
Right.
Um, but like I would always just do that. So from the time I was young, like I won the school awards. I was the lead in the plays. I like, I like I got the highest test scores. I did like I just was like it
Right.
just was like that my whole life. So from an archery standpoint, I don't know what I would depict as that I don't have a moment truly where I go, oh, this is where I realized. But other people said to me who were around me in my life at the time that I was married, which was a horrible time. Way worse. The divorce was like, yay. The marriage, not so much. So the people that were around me watching that absolute dumpster fire were like, how are you not imploding? Like, how did this just happen? And then you turn around and you just shoot like it didn't happen. And so that for me, I was just like, I don't know, I just tune it out. I just turn it off. I just focus on shooting. Like now I'm shooting. I'm not going to let that affect that. Um, But that was the first thing that was just like all the time, always going ridiculously horrid. And so obviously I was like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Hence the divorce. But like during that time, I'm pretty sure that him being that crazy affected the people I roomed with, honestly, more than it affected me, because I could turn it off, but they had to listen to deal with that crazy, and it sucked for them too, you know. And so I think that was the time where everyone was like, holy cow, like how are you compartmentalizing that? And so
Right.
that's how I like to say it. And I've done that since in life, whether it was school or stress, or like I'm way more stressed right now with the mold house stuff and the court stuff and like my living situation and all that stuff than people have any idea. Financially, like the money that went into that, paying the lawyers, doing all the like life isn't good right now. It's not. And I could easily tell people all the details of that and they would be like, "Oh, that's an excuse to suck for a while." But like I don't want an excuse to suck, right? I want a reason to be better than that. Yeah. But I'm probably like I'm 1,000 times more stressed over all the stuff happening right now than like any of that other stuff
Right.
in life because this I can't control. Like everything else was something within my control that I could work harder, be better, put in longer hours, do things, divorce someone, like do things to fix my problems. This is something that I didn't do, I didn't cause, and I can't fix.
Right.
And so I'm a control freak, clearly. And so it's made archery harder, like for sure. Since I've been a pro archer, I was winning and had saved money before I ever moved out. And I started shooting pro and won my first pro tournament when I was like 15. So by the time I bought my own house for the first time when I was 20. So by the time I did that, like I had been saving money, I had won money, then I was winning money and saving money and investing. So like I never really felt financially stressed, which most pro archers would not say. Like that's the first thing that I usually say getting into pro archery, like be prepared to be massively in debt for a lot of years and then shoot for a lot of years just to get out of the debt you built.
Right.
And that's just the reality, not trying to be dramatic, that's a fact. And so this is the first time that like I've ever went to tournaments and been like, and it started last year, obviously. So we're over a year deep now, but it's like you go and you're like, I need to win, not just like, man, I hate losing. I want to win. And I will say from a mental standpoint, that's something I'd never dealt with. And so I'm 30 and now dealing with that. That makes archery harder. Like that's the first thing that I've noticed that it's harder to tune out or like turn off, when you're competing. Like it's subconsciously there, whether you want it to be or not. Something like cutting my leg, it's fine. Like,
Right.
I think I said it's fine. Like, because obviously I edited some clips so that video wasn't quite so long for people to watch. I
Right.
think I said it's fine like 50 times in the 10 minutes that all of that was happening as people would panic. And then, like, I heard me saying to Tate, just breathe. It's going to be fine. Like, I'm the one, like, hurt, and I'm trying to make sure everyone else is fine.
Right.
So, yeah, like, I don't know. I just think there's definitely, and you said it, like, and I don't even like saying no, I'm the Michael Jordan of this or the Tiger Woods of that, whatever. But there's just people who are wired different, who like mentally can handle stuff better than other people. And like mentally, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. That's how I would say it.
Right.
It's this matters in this moment, and then that, like, me worrying about my leg or mold or anything else that's happening is not going to help me in that moment. So why? Like turn that off, focus on what you need to do in that moment, and then it'll have its time later. And so I've always been really good at just like flipping that switch.
Absolutely. So, in case you didn't notice today, the NFAA made some announcements about
Yes. I saw.
the Rushmore Rumble being at the ATA. What are your thoughts on that?
Do we want my honest thoughts? I'm actually not very excited about it. I don't really like going to ATA. Um, So because I'm already going to be there, I know that sponsors are going to make me go to the ATA. So now I normally I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't come to ATA. I have this other tournament. Well, now I'm screwed. There's no excuse. So I'm going to have to do both now, which is fine. Um, I also actually enjoy being in Yankton because I have a house there and different things like that. So I was like, oh,
Right.
Indianapolis or whatever. Like, no, I want to go to Yankton. Like, I have a car and a house and I haven't been there in a while. Like, that
Right.
would be way better. So that's me being selfish for me, right? Um, I'm just hoping because obviously as an NFA, as the organization, like I grew up an NFA girl and I will die an NFA girl, right? That I'm hoping that they get a lot more attendance. I'm hoping the event grows. I'm hoping it works out how they want because I'm assuming the cost of that event is going to be a whole lot higher than what it is when they host it in Yankton. So to offset those costs, I think we need to see some number increase. I'm hoping they get that. Like those are the things that selfishly, right? I think all those little things that I said. But then bigger picture, I'm like, okay, how is this going to be for archery? Are people going to actually come? Will this bring new people? Are they going to get enough people that it makes sense for that move? So, I mean, I also worry about the organizations as they make decisions as well because I care, like I do. Um, for me, this is my job. So wherever I got to fly, I'm going to fly. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to do it. But I wonder from an amateur standpoint if they'll go, oh my gosh, this is my chance to go to ATA and like justify two things at once, maybe. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they
Maybe.
they they did change up for people that read it. They did change up the ATA to where the first 2 days are business to business only, and then the next day or two you can purchase a ticket and walk in
Yes.
for the
And
general
that
public.
I think was done knowing that this
Yes.
tournament would be there. So I know there's a lot of people that have always wanted to go to ATA over the years and obviously just haven't had the ability to do so. So I don't know how many people that will draw now. 10 years ago, probably a lot more. But I'm hoping for their sake that a lot of people go. I think we'll see when it happens.
And I mean so I'm doing a podcast with Bruce
Perfect.
on Friday about
Okay,
this.
that'll be good.
And
He'll
so,
be able to tell you all the behind the scenes stuff
oh
on
yeah,
all of that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they're letting the Rushmore Rumble leave Yankton. I thought they might
Mhm.
give the ATA indoor nationals, but
Yeah, I do you know
they didn't.
why?
No. And
No.
so, but here's one of my other things. The expense of that is one thing, but I have a sneaking suspicion the NFAA is not going to be on the hook for the building for the Rushmore Rumble. I think the ATA is probably going to step in on that.
I hope so.
So they
I,
better.
that I'm hoping Bruce, I don't know the answers, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to say it on here.
Right.
But hopefully Bruce will be able to clarify some of that. I don't know again if he'll even be able to answer that question. But my first thought was I really hope that this is a mutual either shared expense type thing or big expenses already covered if they were gonna have the buildings, whatever. So it makes good sense for the NFA. I'm hoping that for
I
sure.
agree. And then the NFAA Indoor Nationals, yes, folks, I had to look at my phone because I forgot, is in Memphis,
Memphis.
Tennessee. What do you think about that?
I like that one. I think that's going to be a good location. Obviously, everybody bitched and moaned about Chicago, which you're going to laugh with me saying this. Chicago is actually my favorite indoor nationals location yet, having actually went to the event.
Where is?
Chicago that we just went to, like
Okay.
everybody bitched and moaned and said they hated it and didn't want to go, but actually going, it was awesome. The food was expensive. There's my only complaint. But like having all these restaurants and all this cool stuff to do, like right at the venue, the lighting was better. I liked the trade room stuff. Like it was actually great. If you went, I think that was pretty much the general consensus.
Right.
So I think they did a smart thing moving it, obviously, because everyone was so anti-Chicago. I think everybody loves Tennessee. For the people that are going to bitch and moan that it's not Nashville, no one in archery can afford Nashville. That's just a fact.
No, I
So,
I wouldn't want it to be in Nashville either. They had the ATA that one year there that it was like negative 10 degrees and everything,
yeah.
all the pipes broke, but it was expensive as shit.
Yes.
So
So
I
for us, Memphis is going to be cheaper. And for the NFAA to be able to afford to host the event there, Memphis is going to be cheaper. So I just think it's a good location also because internationals typically draws a different crowd.
right.
Like, there's those of us that shoot NFAA that fly to everything. And then there's people who only shoot the 5 spot. And there is a mass amount of them that come from the east, north and east, and they all drive. And
Oh,
so hosting it somewhere that they can easily access, drive, it's centrally located, north, south, east, west, like all the things for the people who drive. Like everyone on the West Coast just knows you got to fly, right?
right.
It's going to happen to almost everything. But all the people who live back in the East, they're so used to everything being so close and they can drive so easy that they will come. So I actually think we're going to see a definite number improvement from last year at the
I hope.
Memphis
I
location.
hope. I'll
Yeah.
be there. For all of you listening, get your asses to Indoor Nationals.
Yes.
Memphis is a
You
great
bitched
spot.
and the NFA listened. So now
Right.
you better show up. That's how I
Exactly.
feel about it.
And like Chicago, I didn't go to Chicago, so I just keep my lips shut.
Mhm.
I have no opinion on Chicago. I didn't go, so I don't get to have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
So the Indoor Nationals in Memphis is March 6th through the 8th. And Vegas is March 26th through the 29th. How do we feel about that?
I mean, personally, so this is, I keep answering everything personally, then from the logical standpoint. Personally, I hate that. Like, I don't want to have to shoot indoor that dedicated that long. Um, I'm trying to think of those dates. Is that the normal ASA date or is it a week earlier?
I think they moved Foley, or they're going to be moving Foley. They
Oh,
said there
I
is
never even
no,
thought about that.
yeah, that there is no competing, that there is no overlap.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so
Then that makes me feel better
so
for
here's the
sure.
so here's the thing. Just for next year, Indoor Nationals is March 6th through the 8th.
Mhm.
Vegas is the 26th through the 29th. In 27, Vegas is March 11th through the 14th. And in 28, Vegas is March 9th through the 12th.
Better. Yeah.
So obviously they're going to start pushing these things back.
Yeah.
So, which I,
I think those dates, like the last two that you just said, are more the date they want to keep it. I'm
yes,
assuming that with the room availability, because they posted that they got more room space and all those different things, that
another big
that was
goal.
yes. So I'm assuming that that probably wasn't their dream date either, but that's what was available, so they took it. Because obviously we know they have a multi-year contract.
Yep.
We know Vegas is really hard to book things, especially if it's not way in advance. And so obviously now they're working with Caesars ahead of time, setting the schedule. So for 27 and 28, we're getting what we want. I feel like for
Right.
26, it's not really what we want. It's probably what they had available.
And
But
but here's the main thing for Vegas: we got more room. So
yeah, which will be a
obviously,
game changer.
so obviously they didn't hate us.
I would rather it be 2 weeks later and we have more room than be 2 weeks sooner and have it be like it was this last time.
100%. And so that's the takeaway from this. And I'll talk to Bruce more about it. But yeah, so we got more room in Vegas. I don't necessarily like seeing indoors run till the end of March. I'd like to see it end earlier in March. So I think we can all agree on that. But
Yes.
exciting things happening over there. And I guess the last question I have for you, Miss Thang, is we have not had a podcast since the Olympics was announced.
Oh, yeah.
And oh yeah, that. And so you obviously shooting everything there is under the sun except unmarked. Um, at what stage and at what point in time will you start taking Olympic prep as serious as you will need to get over the Paige mental hump
Of
of
8 feet
of
targets.
I hate indoors until someone says you'll never be a goat. Now you shoot
Yeah.
30 X's like they're for free. I can't shoot more than 3 ounces out front. And now, several years later, you have 104. So obviously, your restrictions on your archery ability are between your ears. And
Yep.
so, at what point, and you shoot FIDA, you're good at FIDA.
Yeah. I
Oh,
just won the last one. Like, geez, give
right.
me a break.
What I'm
Well, the
saying
last
is,
one I was at, I should
right.
say.
It's not like you're bad at it,
Yeah.
but the
But I'm not great at it. Like
right. And
I
so, and the Olympics are another level. So at what point will you shift mentally and be like, all right, I need to adjust for this?
well, I think I'm gonna try for the world championships this year. Um, possibly. And so I haven't been able to do those the last few years because they've either overlapped like NFA field nationals or an ASA or something like that. So I've obviously been choosing that stuff instead. So really my thought process is, and you're gonna laugh, but in all the years that I've shot FIDA, I don't ever practice FIDA. Like if you asked me like, hey, what's your average practice scores? I couldn't even tell you because I haven't scored on a FIDA face in years.
Right.
Whatever my average score is what my average tournament score is. So I will at some point, not in the next year, start practicing that. I think here's what's hard is everybody is all hyped and excited about it and whatever. And again, if you haven't noticed from the rest of this podcast, like I'm a realist and I try to like focus on what's important now. Like I've never been like a dreamer where I was like, oh, I'm going to be this, whatever. Like, no, I grind in the moment and like take the baby steps to get there. So it's kind of how I'm looking at the Olympics. I'm like, dude, that's 2028. Trials are going to be in 2028. maybe the end of 2027. So I probably don't have to give a shit until like end of 26, maybe, you know? But I've been making the World Cup team this entire time and then turning it down.
Right.
So my version of prioritizing that will be probably starting to accept some of the World Cups that don't overlap other events in the meantime, because there are some.
Right.
Shooting the World Championships each year if I can, and then probably starting to implement occasional practice on that target. Like any would be better than what I've done in the last my whole life. Um, just to kind of like work on upping my averages and scores and stuff. And it's funny because it's like, yeah, and I say like, oh, I'm not good at it. Like, okay, I've been second at world championships. I've podiumed a ton of those things. Like we've won so many medals and I've won FIDAs and I'll win the USATs. But like when I say I'm not good at it, I mean, I don't consistently shoot it enough to be the best in the world at it, which would be the best to win like an Olympic gold medal type thing, right? Like I can go to the US stuff and be fine, but the World Cups and the Olympics would be a different level, right?
Sure.
Like there's people from everywhere, you're getting the best from each country, blah blah blah. And so speaking of that whole weird mind thing, I think part of why I've been successful is my honesty and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And so I don't know how you can get better if you just think like this is going to sound so bad, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's like girls that I've shot with that were like not good at all. But you would hear them tell people like, "Oh, I'm the best there is and I'm blah blah blah." And I'm like, "We score. Like this isn't like a, you feel like gymnastics. Like no, this is like here's the black and white scorecards. How do you think that?" Right? Like if I was shooting whatever they were shooting, I'd be like, I'm losing. I need to improve. I need to whatever. And so I've never lived in that dream world of like worrying that I'm worse than I am or thinking I'm better than I am. Like I am very, very black and white with the scores, what I did well and what I need to improve on. And I've been that way my whole life. So I'm going to be that way for this too. Like I will have an analytical come to Jesus moment with myself of like, okay, I want to do this. And so we know the US has a spot. A woman is going for the US. We know that. I want to be that woman, period.
Yes. Yep.
I know that. So it's like, okay, what do I need to do to ensure that that happens? So those are the baby steps that I'll start taking. I will start to take the World Cup stuff a little more seriously just to get back into that whole rhythm because it's been a little bit.
Right.
I go shoot World Field whenever we have a World Field, but that's still totally different than like a typical World Cup event. And I will still do all the USATs. And so that's one thing that's helped me. I never quit shooting USATs.
Right.
So everyone thinks I quit FIDA, but I still shoot, all the FIDAs technically in the US. So I never really quit. So from that standpoint, I'm going to keep doing those. I'm going to keep doing my best there to stay on the US team. And then whenever I have a World Cup in the next few years that doesn't overlap, I will choose to probably go. The reason I haven't been doing that is because when you add the circuit I already have, like the week I get off here or the weekend I get home here, if I accept those World Cups, I'll have no time.
Right.
So in my mind, accepting those actually takes away from the other events that I actually care about.
It does. 100%.
Yeah, like you just and not from a shooting. Like the more you compete, the better you get mentally, physically, tournament, mental shape, physical shape. I'm talking about time to actually work on equipment. Like one of the first things we talked about was how many bows, how many arrows, how many setups. And when you have zero spare time home, it hurts. Like if you go to an event and you're like, man, this isn't great, like an ASA, it happens once a month. If I shoot an ASA and I'm like, okay, I really need to work on this setup, there's something I want to improve, whatever that is. Good luck finding time. Like, because that next week you have another event you're frantically getting ready for. And so it's like until the next ASA comes, it's kind of almost out of sight, out of mind. Where now, when I get a week home, it's like, okay, these 2 days is this, these 2 days is this, and these 2 days is this setup. And now I'm good. And now I can move on for the next like crazy month with no breaks. And so it makes it harder to be good at everything because the international travel takes longer. You spend 2 weekends at every World Cup where you don't do that for international events. And you sit there for so much downtime that is painful to me
Right.
that I can't stand going. But I do want to go to the Olympics. So I will
Right.
suck it up and do some of that.
Well, and let's be honest, you've wore the USA jersey before, but wearing the USA jersey in the Olympics is going to hit
Yeah.
different.
It's a
And
whole different thing.
yeah, and even Brady has said before, on podcasts that we've had. He's like, Vegas is not pressure after you've shot in the Olympics.
Yeah.
The Olympics is
Yeah.
nothing comes even close to that. So,
I think what is going to make this one mean more, this is how, again, like being the realist that I am, we don't know if we're ever going to have another chance.
right.
This could be the only time in history that 12 countries send a male and woman to the Olympics and we may never go again for compound. And so I know, you know what? I know we hate talking like that. Everyone's all positive, but that's how I'm looking at it.
Let's,
This is what we know.
yeah, it's
We
possible.
have this one time. So I'm looking at it like we have one chance. So you better freaking capitalize. You know what I mean? Like we
100%.
don't know if we're going to get that guarantee to move forward. So I think though, I don't know. I saw people like posting about it, being all blah, and I'm not looking at it like that. Like I wasn't all bubbles and all yay, rainbows and butterflies. I was just like, this is awesome. This is great. It's going to be even better in 3 years, 4 years when it's actually time for that to happen. But I looked at it like compound getting in the Olympics isn't going to change that this is still my job for the next 3 years.
Right.
And I have a tournament this weekend and next weekend and next weekend and next weekend. So like freaking out and being so excited and focusing on something that's so far out in my mind, like in the future, like I still got work to do right now. So that's kind of, I don't want to sound like I'm less excited about it. I'm just focused on what matters, you know what I mean? And I will be that way through that whole process. And the trials is going to be long. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be a commitment. And I probably every person ever is going to come try out for that. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be insane.
100%. Well, all right, Paige, I appreciate you spending some time with me today. I know that you have a lot of stuff to do, plants to water, fertilize,
I
but
got to get my hunting bow ready.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Well, good luck on the bear trip, and let everybody out there know where they can keep up with Paige on the World Wide Webs.
Facebook. It's just Paige Pearce. It's an athlete page. Can I just add something? There are
Yeah.
so many fake pages out there
Oh, yeah.
right now. Like I see them, and the crazy part is they make a fake me and then they comment on my post, like as me, as if I'm not going to see it. Sometimes if someone answers them, I'll respond and be like, no, that's a fake page. Give them time to see it and then go back and block that page.
Right.
I have one page. Like I won't answer you on my personal page. Obviously, you have to have a personal Facebook to have a business Facebook. But I have the one archery account. I don't have a private chat. I don't have a secret chat. I don't have a message. I don't have anything. So please don't be stupid enough to follow those and talk to them. It is not me.
And Paige is never going to ask you for anything.
No, I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you. I will not ask you to send me anything. Like I've had a few people, there's a page out there that knows archery and is doing that because people have asked them archery questions, they've given them advice, and it's like, that was not me. And so there's another person that said they talked to one of those, I think it was the Paige Pierce private chat for like 2 months before they figured out it wasn't me. And I'm like, they talk like a Russian bot. Like, how can you not tell? But whatever. On any platform, I only have like my one main one. So I don't have a backup account. Please just don't do that. So anyway, Paige Pierce on Facebook, Instagram, it's Paige Pierce _ insight. YouTube is Paige Pierce. I think it's Paige Pierce Archery. I don't even know. Whatever, it's on there.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
all
cool.
that.
Well, I appreciate it. Good luck on the bear hunt.
Thank you.
That's Paige Pierce, everybody. She is a familiar face to the program. She is the current reigning and still queen of archery in pretty much every venue that she tries to run with. Her we'll see how her new nickname Stitches hangs out, but she's absolutely super knowledgeable, helpful, friendly archer. So if you're at an event and she's not at full draw, go up and say hi. She loves to interact with everybody, and she is absolutely having a fantastic career right now. I look forward to seeing her in LA 2028. It's going to be pretty wild. So that's going to be it for the podcast today, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, I am talking to Bruce Cole on Friday, and then next week I have another guest who's kind of been laying low in the cut, 3D guy, and we'll be catching up with him and seeing what the hell he's been doing because he hasn't been on the socials very much. So we're going to catch up with him, but that's going to be it, everybody. Be safe out there. If there's weather, whatever you're doing, I know there's some storms and a lot of wind and stuff out in the Midwest. So Be safe. You guys know the drill. We want to hear from you, not about you. And as always, everybody, love, peace, and chicken grease.